Molly, I wanted to ask you this one question. As an entrepreneur, when you started this, yes, you have your previous business, Baby Errors, and then you moved to this. What are some of the challenges that you kind of when you were getting started? What are the challenges that you faced, and how did you solve them? If you can share an insight or a story about it for our audience, that would be great.
Yeah, happy to. So when I stepped in as CEO, the first thing I did, because I come from the world of sort of branding and really care a lot about a brand's look and feel and voice, and that it's consistent on its website and packaging and emails and everything from color palette to font to, again, back to kind of make sure you're speaking to your consumer, you're engaging the consumer who you want to reach. And so we relaunched our site, relaunched packaging, and I drove up to Greensboro, North Carolina, where Fresh Market is headquartered. And that was November, and they picked us up a few weeks later for a May rollout. And then a few months after that, Whole Foods picked us up for 2 regions, starting in the South and then Pacific Northwest. So we had a lot of big orders coming, and my partner, the chef who created these beautiful sauces, who was still literally handcrafting and possibly even hand bottling at that point, I was, like, no, we need actually sort of a robust supply chain to serve these larger accounts, because you might get the first order done, but if a second one comes quickly, there needs to be enough stock to get back on the shelf. And so we did an angel round, and we spent a lot of that money sort of shoring up our ops and finding the right co-manufacturers who can scale to production with us. And basically what makes us different is also what makes that hard. And we're cold pressed, like I said, the way you cold press fresh juice, to keep the plant enzymes live. Basically, first and foremost, my partner being a chef, to really honor the flavor profile of the pepper, and you're not killing the flavor through heat. But there also is a health benefit of it, the fact that it's a fermented food, there's no sugar, it's live. We went to all these hot sauce commands across the country, and all of them are certified for heat processing. So basically every hot sauce on the shelf in the grocery store is boiled, and then they add sugar or preservatives or flavor enhancers. And we positioned ourselves as an incremental addition to the shelf because we're different in that way. We're barrel aged, we're fermented, we're to scale with these partners. And my head of ops said to me, she was like, "You're not thinking outside the box. Who cold presses?" And so we started talking to juice co-mans and kombucha co-mans, and we found a great kombucha factory to actually make our hot sauce. But this was literally after countless nights of sleep wondering if we would actually be able to make the hot sauce for these orders that were coming closer and closer and closer, and found this great partner. And we're probably the only hot sauce in the country, I would say maybe certainly the only hot sauce in the country made at a kombucha factory, because we weren't willing to kind of sacrifice what made us different and special. But it was a lot of stress for a few weeks / months.
True. Well, that's what I think the challenges present themselves with an opportunity. And as you said rightly, because as a brand, when you start something, it's small, and then it's time to scale. You need to have this production in place, the packaging in place, the delivery in place to make sure that, because ultimately it's the end consumer is going to decide once they receive the product if they are going to make that second purchase or not. So I think you shared it very nicely, that how you focused on your key USP of keeping it cold pressed and all those things, how they really matter, and how you are able to distinguish it from the competition. Excellent insight there.
I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I think how that applies just generally at large to
Yeah.
business and growth is that your business breaks probably 3 or 4 different times as you grow. What works for
Yes.
a business selling $70,000 of sauce is different than $500,000 sauce, is different than $2 million sauce, is different than $10 million sauce. So you're going to have to go through that scramble, and that's normal a couple
Yeah.
different times in your growth,
Absolutely.
whatever industry you're in, whatever you're making.
Great.